What's going on?
I like guys.
Duh!
Hey, I'm Todd Stephens, and I wrote. Wait, what did I do? I'm sorry. Hey, I'm Todd Stephens, and I wrote, produced, and directed another gay movie.
Hi, I'm Mitch Morris, and I played Griff.
Hey, I'm Ashlie Atkinson, and I played Dawn Muffler.
Hi, I'm Stephanie McVay. I played Nico's mom. Did I have a name?
I think it is.
I'm Jonah Blechman, and I played Nico Hunter. Yay! I hope that doesn't set up too much pressure for people to.
Hi, I'm Michael Carbonaro, and I played Andy Wilson, and I am currently mounting a quiche off camera.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Chase, and I played Jarod. Pretty straight, nothing.
That's great. It was good.
On that, y'all.
It's perfect.
I did want to ask, just to clarify, was this the first time that we had everyone together since shooting then? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So 15 plus years, right? I don't know when we wrapped filming. It would have probably been late 2005? Summer 2005?
No, we shot in winter. Didn't we shoot in the springtime?
January, February, something like that?
Of
February
2005 or?
Yeah, it came out in 06. So.
Yeah.
But wait a minute.
No, yeah, January, February. Yeah, I think so. 2005, because it was a little over a year. Then it came out in April.
That makes sense.
TLA.
Yes, that's right.
Shout out to TLA.
Shout out to Louis
So
Tice.
this is probably the first time we've all been together since the last day of not even shooting, but I think we did the last day of shooting, and then maybe there was a day off, and then I remember the boys came back and we did the photo shoot for the poster.
Oh, yeah. Last night. I watched it last night. I hadn't seen it in, 10 years. I don't know when the last time I saw it was, but I watched it last night. When's the last time anybody saw it?
I mean, that's a great question. And now I have to
Girl,
think
I
about
watch it every night.
Right.
Just watch it every night. Every night.
Which is 2006.
right, and it's my ringtone, and it's my definitely. No, I watched it with some kids who lived in my neighborhood, and I thought
You run the daycare.
Yeah, I run the daycare. And I mean, I birthed them all, but I don't count any of them as mine. I'm just taking care of them. But these kids, these 24-year-olds that I thought didn't like me, and then I found out that they were just big fans of another gay movie, right? And so I was like, well, I haven't seen it in years. Let's watch it. So this was probably maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys, the stuff that holds up really holds up. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it probably about, I want to say, a couple of weeks ago when I got to see it. God, I feel like it just so stood up and out, and these performances and the energy of what it was. It's
yes.
Gosh, it was like a marathon, just even watching it too. It's so fun.
It's weird to watch just in a house though, on a couch, because there's parts that feel slow, pieces in between. But then I remember when we were in the theater, laughs were cutting over jokes. So that's strange.
Oh, that first Tribeca screening was just.
That was Michael's birthday.
That was my birthday.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, Michael, you told me your family was there too, and so it was a big deal.
Robert De Niro was there.
Yeah. Bobby.
It really didn't fly, Todd. Am I remembering that correctly? I had were you there, Mitch?
I was there. What I remember is that for the first 10 or 15 minutes, we were sitting there sort of melting in our seats.
Oh my God. Next to my dad. Oh my God.
Really?
People didn't
Yeah. I don't
laugh. Or if they could laugh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But then they warmed up to it. I remember it being a tonal thing where they're this is Tribeca, and then they got it. They figured it out,
Right. Yeah.
I think by the time
And I remember when we went to the next screening down in Miami, I think.
Oh, Miami was so much fun.
No, Miami was the total.
That was like crazy. That was like, oh, okay. You know, that's how I expected people to react to it.
Well,
Jonathan, did you ever like sneak into a theater in like?
I spoke to Cameron about this.
Yeah.
Just because there was a lot of fear from my team that they injected into me, and I have regrets about.
Oh, honey.
Sweet baby.
I feel deeply. There's wounds there for sure, and this is like a healing.
Sweetheart.
Oh, great. We'll do a screening for Fuck Sure and a
Did
Q&A.
you just say great as a response to his trauma? I bet you were.
No, he said healing, you asshole. He said this was a healing.
But
to Jonathan's point,
I did. I went to Sunset lately.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, Mitch. What were you gonna say?
No, I was going to say that you weren't the only one with those kinds of wounds, right? I mean, something like this was so outrageous that I think a number of us from, the people we were working with were getting a lot of mixed signals, like do it, great. And then once it was done, it was, kind of back away and you only want to go so close to this, which speaks a lot about where the industry was, where the industry has begun to change. I won't say has changed, but is beginning to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not alone in those feelings.
Well, you know what's weird? I wasn't out. Like, I'm out now, and I never actually officially came out in press, and I actually couldn't remember. I was talking to Cameron, like, when I ever did that. I couldn't even remember the time I didn't. I'm glad it wasn't a big deal. Like, I didn't make it a big deal coming out, but like, I am openly out in press. I talk about my husband, but then, it was all, I was fucking a really
we kept it quiet
coy about some of us are gay, some of us are straight. We're not gonna say who's who, blah blah. But I was getting that from my people too. It's like just keep it.
Yeah.
Remember.
Well, meanwhile, as like I'm sorry, Mitch. Go ahead.
No, please, Ashlie, go ahead.
Oh, as a bisexual woman, they were like I felt like Todd was absolutely Todd. You were like, yes, talk about the full breadth of your experience, but like, bi erasure was so intense at that time that like I would go to these festivals and I'd try and talk about it. And they'd be like, yeah, we don't actually like, we only care as much as you dovetail with this character that we like. And we don't actually like, we're not that interested in who you have at home, or like the nuances of that. And it felt like never from our end, but like from festivals' ends sometimes sort of like let's not, everybody assumes you're a lesbian, so let's just run with that,
For the record, Muffler could bag any guy she wants. I think.
I mean, right? So. Like, I don't think. Yeah.
Especially the queer ones.
Look at the one she has to choose from. So, like, no, I'm just kidding.
Mitch, were you out then? Like, I don't remember.
Or are you not out?
Are you out now? Said the bisexual Blechman?
I've just been outed, which is not really. Not really. I wasn't even, completely out to everyone in my personal life.
Right.
There was a lot of strange stuff swirling about it. Every time I got a role, it was on Queer as Folk and another gay movie, and people were like, it was kind of a strange and confusing time, which was fusing with a sort of political conservative climate and the Bush administration, which I talked to Cameron about. And so I know that I remember from this movie, one of the things that Todd told me the first time that we met was that he wrote this script out of a lot of anger. And I don't remember what the reasoning behind that anger was, but coming to the project, I always felt a great sense of defiance in it, that we were doing something that, we weren't sure we could get away with, but we were sure we were going to try. And that made it kind of exciting and fun and subversive and wonderful.
I feel like that definitely carried through to the shooting. Like, I always think about being in that park with that baseball player with the assless chaps that we just had to keep. You guys remember, like, the cops would come and we would just like cover his butt.
Yeah.
Just like
we almost couldn't shoot the
and then they would leave.
Home plate scene with Graham. I still
like
had to pound me on the plate, and we were like cops.
Public park. Like, I'm sure did we have a permit, Todd? I don't even know.
We probably had a permit, but
To shoot, not porn, or not
to shoot. But yeah, there was some. Did we get in trouble with the?
They were lurking. They were lurking, and we were afraid if we were going to do the pounding on the plate and the assless chaps, they were going to make a thing out of it.
Right.
Yeah, it was like they came and said hi and then went away and then came and said hi again and then they left again and we were like, let's shoot this. Like we shot everything that was like within the realm of, decency.
Yeah, there you go.
And then like went for broke and then like got the fuck out, basically.
Right.
How
That's
I
right.
remember it.
Yeah. I remember kind of building like when you and Graham were on home plate, like surrounding you with like stuff, so like nobody could really see what was up.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
There was a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah, there was
a lot of shame. A lot of shame.
A lot of like hiding. Shame.
To be a child in that park.
We started the comfortability bar pretty high because it wasn't rehearsals. We had a few weeks of rehearsals, and that was next to. They were filming a porn next door,
That
right?
porn studio. Yep.
Yeah.
I had auditioned for the porn. I didn't get it.
Popped over.
I was just so happy to be working.
Jonathan, you're technically still on hold for that porn. I don't know. You're still pinned.
There's so many jokes in there.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of something you said to me, Jonathan, and I've carried it with me all this time, and I loved it so much. And I think about it when I watch the film, where we were walking, and you were like, "I like that we have very different styles of comedy," and I was like, "Yeah, we do, don't we?" And you were like, "Yeah, like I'll tell a joke, and then like the punchline, I go back here, and like you tell a joke." And then the punchline, you go here. Like you leap like 5 steps forward for the punchline, and I take like a half step back. And I was like, yeah, it's true. And I watched the movie, and I'm like, I am on. Everybody else is like giving modulation and nuance, and I'm like, Muffler is at 15. From like,
yeah.
Remember,
But that's
Michael,
the beauty of it. That's the
on the
beauty.
gas, foot on the gas, full way.
I remember Michael saying, Jonah, this is not, you're not doing it. This is not working. I remember you're like, I don't know if what you're doing is really.
Shut up. You did not.
Way.
Wait, what?
No, I did not.
I
Please say
remember
more.
some kind of like, I don't know if you were like that open with, but I remember you kind of saying like, I don't know if what you're, I don't know if I get what you're doing or reading or what. And I was like, well, see, watch the film.
Come on. I can't. That's not true. What are you talking about? I can't even. How could you? We did the readings together in New York. What do you think? I was just like.
I don't know. I remember like some kind of.
I remember talking to Todd about recasting your part, but I don't remember.
Right.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry. I have to say, because I did just watch it last night, and the copy I have is a Swedish copy that I thought it was so funny that we had a Swedish version, like that was dubbed, and I had a friend like hook me up with one. So, and it's the only copy I had. So I put it on last night, and I'm like, oh shit, it was in Swedish. But luckily they had English, and I put it on anyway. But like, you are fucking hilarious, Jonah. Like I was dying. I mean, you were so funny. So I guess I didn't get it until now. And I don't know, and Jonathan, you're so good in that movie. The scream, that high pitched scream part with the penis pump is just so good. And man, I was impressed with it. And Mitchell, you like? Do I call you Mitchell? Mitch, John, not out, man. You gave the heart, because Cameron was talking about the heart of the movie, and I was like, wow. And then I was like, that pool scene, it's like really good stuff.
Chemistry, it's there.
And the club, you guys were great.
Beautiful.
It's really good.
Wait, can I say, Jonathan, you told me that you had a certain prop from the movie for quite a while in your garage, maybe in a bag, and I wondered if you wanted to share that.
Yeah, Todd will remember what he allowed me to take.
Is it still intact, or
no?
Is it...
So, God, I should have known. I've worked with John Carl Beekler and all these people who have done all these effects stuff. It melted. I had the penis and the ball sack that was. It was custom fitted to a much larger man to cover all the bits and stuff. but I kept it. I don't know why I kept it. I thought I would like sell it one day or auction it and like donate the money. I thought it would be like a big. I had this thing in my head where like this is gonna be like $100,000 and it's gonna like help people with it or keep some of it. It was just crazy.
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Right. It was some of it was intact and some of it was just kind of like slime.
Wait, so was it foam or was it like silicone? Like foam?
It was probably foam latex.
Yeah.
Yeah, silicone would stay. The
Right. Oh, so
I
you
know
just,
I feed my baby silicone, and that should be, he's absorbing particles. Whatever.
Now it makes me wish I'd kept my tongue.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That
Roll out.
thing was so
I have
scary.
I have the Carrie dress.
you do?
Really?
Nice.
They made two of them, and I guess they were both dry cleaned, and one of them ended up in the back of my closet. And I kind of forgot that it was there. Everything ends up in the back of my closet, and I put in my identity apparently. So I was moving back preparing to move from Philadelphia back to LA after I was finishing law school, and the movers were there and they're helping me, pack everything up. And this mover comes in from my bedroom holding this dress. He's like, "What do I do with this?" I'm like, "Oh God, I missed that." He's like, "What is that?" I'm like, yeah, and it's still in the dry cleaning bag. Though I do.
Does it fit into it?
Oh,
Yeah, does it still fit?
Does it
I'm
still
sure
fit?
it's still in that bag.
I don't know. I hope so.
I bet it does. It looks like
Did you try and trick?
No.
Did you try and trick him? I think I remember some story about that, Mitch, that they said that they were gonna not really drop the bucket on you, and then they tried to pull one over on you, right, to get a real reaction. Is that a real memory?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I kind of remember you pulling me aside and be like, "Well, they said they weren't going to, but I knew they were going to, and they did."
Maybe, yeah. Maybe like we're just.
I remember
gonna
that.
through it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So
Todd, do you remember that? Was that?
Yeah, I remember there was something wrong with the bucket, and like they're not going to drop. Don't worry, they're not going to put. And then they just did.
and then they did.
I think it was that. Yeah, he didn't. We didn't tell him which take it was gonna. Like it could have happened at any time or something.
Oh,
like
right.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there were. I do remember something like that.
The funny thing was that it was it was conditioner mixed with
Right.
water. This really thick, white, like suave conditioner. So it was all in my eyes and in my mouth. I remember tasting conditioner for the better part of a week.
That explains why you looked great for like a month after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like Olaplex. It was amazing.
We all donated to that bucket a little bit.
That wasn't conditioner, actually, Mitch. You knew that.
Yeah, authenticity, of course.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that was so cool about how all this came together was like that we did have this time to bond and rehearse like before we shot. And we had two different casting directors. We were like casting on both coasts kind of thing. And Michael and Jonah and Ashlie were from New York. But we could not find Jarod. And I told Cameron this. I think you guys know, like I had originally written the Griff character is like a character named Kai, who was like an African-American rapper. Just remember that, Michael?
Did we do a reading that way?
We did. We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't Wilson Cruz?
We did. What's that?
Wasn't
Wilson Cruz.
Wilson Cruz.
Oh.
No. Wasn't
No,
Wilson
Cruz.
in a reading though? I think he
Wilson was in
Was in one of the readings, yeah.
But I don't think he was Kai. I think he was he played the part that
Daryl.
Real
Yeah.
Steve, man.
Yeah. But yeah, there was
Noah.
That Noah's Ark played.
Right.
He's on the Noah's Ark. Yeah.
we did two readings with our crew with like the Kai character, and Ashlie, Michael, and Jonah and Scott, I believe, did those. So like we kind of started bonding as this little family.
But it was like, I mean, you say reading, but it was performances. Like it was it was at the Marquee, right? The Marquee Theater in New York with Scott. And I mean, it was a stage play.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much.
Which
Although
doesn't
it was
feel
seated.
different.
I mean, you were reading.
No, I know. Yeah. No, I just remember the difference between like doing that and then when we went to shoot it, it was like, oh shit, we're actually doing these things.
Yes!
It's not just like
We had
stage
an audition
reading.
that was like we had gotten used to like these really obscene fucking things that we would do, but like someone would read them.
Yeah,
and the
someone would
audience would laugh, And there was definitely a moment where I looked at Michael and I was like, we have to do these things now. Like, we've been talking about doing these things for like 2 years, but now we actually have to do. And I think it was like a really innocuous thing, like him and Jonah having to like pick me up and lift me at home plate. I was like, we doing this, boys?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen? Like, it's been a joke in the readings, for 2 years. Let's make it happen.
Right. Yeah.
But what do we have rehearsal? You saying, Todd? You're saying we had like a rehearsal here? Like, we had the readings, but then when we met,
you did the readings.
Mitch, we did. I mean, we all bonded right away.
We spent like 4 or 5 days before we started shooting, rehearsing, pretty much like full time. And that's when the thing I remember about that is
I don't think I was there.
You weren't?
Well, seriously.
Probably not. No,
I don't think I was there yet. I came late because you guys were there for like a couple.
Oh, you weren't there. Okay, gotcha. Okay. But I remember that the Griff character had just sort of like been like a recent rewrite because it was like the whole character changed into this kind of like nerdy kid, And the thing I do remember from the rehearsals is like Mitch is like, you coming to me, I don't know if you remember this, and just saying like, I feel like I'm getting lost. I'm lost in the group of the 4 guys, like that I'm somehow getting lost in it. And I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense because like your character is like kind of new and like and isn't as like well, defined or whatever. And so I just remember we really talked about that and I sort of did a rewrite and that was kind of and I saw it too, that it's like, cause it was more like the straight man part, you know what I mean? So it was like, how do we make this work? But that's the thing. One of the things that I am so happy that really, when I watch it again, and I watched it again, I hadn't watched it in many years. And to do this like director's cut thing, I like watched it. And first of all, I was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, it just like that. It's like, were we all on coke or something? Like it's just so like, it's so balls to the wall, it just, you know what I mean? Is that no holds barred. It just like rips, and that's what, after 15 years, like makes me proud that it's still like this, like kind of like on fire thing. You know what I mean? Like that's how I reacted to it. And it sort of shocked me. You get far enough away from something that you don't even remember that you made it, or it's become something else. You know what I mean? So it kind of really shocked me what we did and how fearless we all were,
Yeah.
But it just, that's the thing that was so cool about the Griff character with Mitch, is like how we found that character, and it really wound up like that relationship between the 2 guys, like and it just so happened that Jonathan and Mitch like had this amazing chemistry, and we did chemistry readings. They were like, I don't know if you guys remember, in the final auditions, we were like mitching and maxing people, mixing and matching people, and but it was so clear that like it was, boom, it's just like, okay, it's those 2 dudes, and the fact that provided this like heart, to it.
It is the real heart of the movie,
And when he comes in and says like, I can't remember the exact lines, but he's like, I love you. Like, I'm in love with you. Like, it really like brought tears to my eyes when I saw it, So that's the thing that I'm proud about it, is this whacked out, like, sort of like defiant, fuck you kind of thing. But there's also this like real heart and sweetness in it, especially with you 2 guys,
It's funny, Cameron when Cameron told me why he was so into it and told me his story of like watching it with high school friends, I was like, I had never I don't think I just had never picked, because I always pictured it, we were playing to like the in the know gay crowd. That's why Miami Festival, they went crazy, and was like, oh, it's for this kind of a crowd. They get it. They get the jokes. They get the Carrie references. They get where we're going with all this. But to think about like a group of high school kids watching this movie and then to be touched by it, I was like, wow, like that was really intense to hear your story. I pried a little bit too much, maybe. Story.
I agree, Michael. Like that was like
I was like, were you guys hooking up with each other? Like, with their secret inners and outers?
No.
And, like,
Another gay movie and chill. Yeah.
I need details here.
But to think that's how our movie maybe partially taught people how to be gay is like kind of scary. But anyway, that's all right.
Well, there's I mean, there was a lot of squishy sounds and a lot of things going into butts. A lot of things.
As kind of like Todd, to kind of quote you there, rips, as it kind of just is in your face. I've of the things I've done, and I feel like since there was a freedom that you, Mitch, I got to give you so much hugs and just blasting you with love for making me feel so safe. All you guys, Michael and Jonah and Ashlie, I'm a huge fan of your work. Obviously, theater as well. So it's just really cool to be in the room with you all. But Michael, your comedy chops were insane. Still are. I mean, we watch your show. We get the full effect from you now. And Jonah, you and I stayed close for so long, obviously still. But it was just really, Todd, you made me feel safe because I was scared.
To shoot? Like during the shooting?
I was terrified. And
Really?
I feel like Mitch, and I'm not going to speak for you, Mitch, but and is it okay if I say Mitch still? Is that all right?
Yes, of course, that's my name.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just want to honor, because you get John Mitchell below. If you want me to call you John, I will.
That's just what my students call me.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
And so many more questions now about.
Can I call you John?
But Mitch, there was and still is so much about you that I love, that I fell in love with on the shoot, that was for me was real. And I know you guys, we were house sitting one night. I told a lot of stuff to Cameron I shouldn't have. I told a lot of stuff. I told, I bear it all. And we were all house sitting. I don't know if you remember this. And Jonah, you turned to me. Do you remember when you looked at me? We were all laying in a bed. We were all hanging out, and I felt so safe. And I was just like, I thought about it. Like, do I want to hook up with Jonah? Do I want to be with Jonah right now? And I was like, I could. And I was like, I don't think I want to. I was like, I still want to be with a woman, And then that's the kind of depth to the sexuality, my own sexuality, and freedom to my own humanness that I never would have had without the gift of being a part of this movie.
Oh, I love you.
And to that, Jonathan, as a direct response, I think one of the things that early on helped, again, not to put words in your mouth, but I think helped both of us and sort of helped me with the issue that Todd was talking about earlier, sort of feeling like Griff was, drifting out. I don't know if you remember, but the very first day of shooting, we shot the pool scene. That was day one.
Really?
Wow.
Because it was going to be so cold. It was cold.
Right, of course.
Just whatever. Yeah, okay.
But that, I think, helped us both a lot, because that scene is not about the outrageous comedy. That is really about the internal, connection between these two characters. And I felt, really safe with you. You were just the best scene partner to have in the entire process. And in fact, for those first several days, I remember feeling, I think I'm in a different movie than everybody else, because we were shooting these very, sort of loving, sweet, almost like romantic comedy kinds of scenes. And Michael is flipping around in a sex swing, and on stage B. And so it was interesting to see how it all came together. But, especially given that Michael and Jonah and Ashlie had been working together with Todd on this for so long, that Jonathan and I came in later, and then we all just clicked so quickly.
Yeah.
We spent those entire weeks together.
Yeah.
We really did. 24 hours a day. We were together, and it was a blast.
We went out dancing. At night together.
Yeah.
I had a moment where I almost thought I might hook up with you, Mitch, just for a moment.
Michael, look.
Keep going, guys. Who else? Come on.
Ashlie, we slept in the same bed.
I mean, we definitely like slept in the same bed because we were sharing a hotel room. I don't know if Todd, you remember this, but like production had enough for, or at least we were told that there was enough for like one hotel and one car. So either, I guess one of us got the hotel and one of us got the car, or we could split. And so Michael and I lived together for like 2 weeks or whatever. And we had like rules about like leaving the room if like, you know, somebody had to like jerk or take a shit or whatever, you know, just like basic, yeah.
If you started to take a shit and then whatever, everything else was whatever.
I don't remember.
Whatever.
I actually remember what we were like falling asleep and was like nervous we were gonna like go to like have a sleepover, me and you. And I was like, and I put, I don't know what it would have been. It wouldn't have been a phone, right? We don't know, it would have flip phone, but I put on music somehow. Maybe it was a CD player or whatever. I put on.
I think it was your laptop.
No, my laptop. I put on Sarah McLachlan, like, because we were just like laying in bed and we're like gonna go to bed, and then I put on Sarah McLachlan, and you just said, "You're a good man, Michael Carbonaro."
Oh my God, we used to print out map quests to get where we were going.
Oh, geez.
We would have to like,
There's a throwback.
yeah, print out a
Okay.
physical map quest and like try and navigate the freeways because neither of us had a clue where we were or where we were headed.
Had you guys ever been to LA before?
No,
No.
I had never been. Yeah, we'd never been. We didn't know.
I wanted the part so bad. Like, I didn't know that I was like a shoo-in just because of the readings or whatever, that you guys, when I heard you were doing readings, you and Jess, producer Jess Adams, were going to LA to do some readings. I like went to LA to like, I'm like, I'm here. Do you want me to be a reader? I was like, I don't want you reading any other Andes. I was like really like nervous about that. So I came in as a reader for some of those.
Right. Yeah.
And that was my first time like in LA was for those readings. But when we shot, I still have no idea. It's funny because it's on IMDb, like where we shot. I've never I've never really like looked because I live in LA now. I'm in Burbank, but like I don't know where we shot. I want to kind of like drive by, and
a lot of it was in Orange, California, like in Orange County, like
But yeah, like my house was in Orange County, up on that big hill. You guys remember the decor of that house, of Muffler's house? They had like
Cool.
the craziest.
oh
like,
yeah,
and it wasn't set dress, right? Like that was in those people's
Like an
home.
80s mansion, like.
I remember we played a game where you had to like take 5 things from that house and put them in your own house. Like the rule was you had to pick out 5 things. You know.
Sorry to interject, but we have a special guest visitor that I'm going to bring in.
Hi, Mom. No, you're not my mom.
No, I'm not.
Really
your
not.
mom.
I didn't read the script.
That was mom.
Jonah's mom. Oh, hi, gorgeous.
Oh my God. Hi, Ashlie, honey. How
Oh,
are you? Jonathan, Michael.
Stephanie, hi, beautiful.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, look exactly the same.
Right?
Oh,
I know. Haven't
man.
even bit.
oh my gosh.
wow.
Oh, how lovely.
We were just going down memory lane, back talking about the olden days, you know.
Oh my gosh, Cameron.
I'm so happy you made it in.
I love the do.
Oh.
Wait, so Stephanie, were you in the readings? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The New York reading. Okay. I was gonna say I never remember there being another. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. I
Yeah.
don't think Jonah ever had another mama. No.
Never had another.
Who
one.
else could do that?
Did we do 2 readings or 1?
Definitely 2. I thought maybe we did 3. We might have done 3.
We did that.
No,
one.
that was for the other movie.
Oh yeah. No. Well, okay. Well, we definitely did 2, no doubt. Because that's why it felt like a run to me. It was like a
I got my equity card just from our readings.
right.
And then you had to pay $1,400. Yeah.
Oh my.
Perfect.
Good.
Yeah.
But Stephanie, you lived in New York at the time too. I think, is that true? Maybe true.
For that reading, I don't think so.
No, you had gone to California. Okay.
I had gone to California, but I remember being on that stage and yeah. and we were in a semicircle, and we were told to wear all black. And yeah, no, I came to visit. I did. I came to visit.
We're all black.
The weirdest thing about the readings, and I think I told Cameron this, is that like having done 2 of them and we recorded them, you know, just to have like a record of it, because it not only is it a way to like audition people, to start building chemistry, but also mostly to hear the script like read and to rewrite it and tweak it and stuff. But I just remember that the parts that got laughs, like even the narrator reading the description, the parts that got laughs in the reading pretty much like were the parts that got laughs like in the movie for the most part. And when we were editing it, if there was a part that got a laugh in the reading that wasn't getting a laugh yet because we did test screenings, you know, we did test screenings of the film, a lot of them. And even with like, I remember one we did like at a theater before we locked picture with like 150 people or something like that, you know? Oh. So, cause I was like trying to milk every single little laugh, you know, out of it. And so there were times when I remember there was like a laugh in the reading and it's not quite landing in the movie yet. So sometimes it's just like shifting something a couple frames or cutting to a close-up instead or whatever. But yeah, I was like trying to I got most of them, you know, and some of them were, some of the jokes are like maybe 3 or 4 people laugh. And I like those jokes too, where you're screening with an audience and like only a couple people get it or laugh, you know. But it was really fun. And Michael, you said there's like the funny thing from those big screenings was sometimes people would laugh and it would literally cover up the next line or the next joke, you know? So I don't know what you call that, but we had to like put little pauses sometimes, like, you know, to make you be able to understand the next thing or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's hold for laughter. Yeah, definitely hold for laughter.
Yeah. Hold for laughter.
I know that from Tyler Perry. Just you gotta he adds laugh tracks after. So
right.
God.
My most vivid memories of this entire experience was after the filming was over. When we opened the movie at the Castro in San Francisco, they had closed the balcony, so there was just seating on the floor. But Michael and Jonah and I sat up on the first row of the balcony and watched the entire movie for the 40th time. And it was like an earthquake was happening down below. People never stopped laughing. It was just, you know, it was just constant. They got everything. We couldn't hear half of the movie. They should have captioned it or something.
Is that all you remember from that balcony?
Most of what I
remember.
All I remember.
But it was great. It was kind of, and it was cool. It's such a great theater, historic theater. So
so that's where we have to do a rescreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a great idea.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Who do we have to call?
You did so many test screenings and you really tweaked.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Shows.
Yeah. We would start with just like, you know, 5-10 people, and then they kept like growing to the point where the theater at NYU, like we booked that and did like this like 150 people test screenings, and just getting the little minute, you know, tweaks, you know. So there were some jokes that I was like, I'm gonna make this funny. People laughed in the reading. I'm gonna like, what do I got to do to dig this laugh out? You know what I mean?
Wow.
So.
I remember one jump was after we shot, you know, we did the readings that when we shot, and then you came to me at one point and you were like, don't get upset, but we have to cut your like big American Pie speech part in half because it was making like a double. Because what happened is we jumped from the big "let's do it, guys" to the scene in Jonah's bedroom, Nico, when we were all making the pact, and so it was like this double pact thing. So you cut my speech in half, and you're like, so
Were you upset?
I'm still upset. Yeah.
Clearly,
Michael, if you want to stay on after the Zoom ends,
I'd like to perform it the way it should have been done. I don't remember.
Michael's releasing his own actor's cut of the film.
Actor's cut. Oh my God.
Actor's cut.
It's in 4:3.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear more like about, you know, like Jonathan and Mitch, what you're saying about like being afraid, you know, or like the fear of doing it. Like, was that during it? Like, was that something that was like leading up to it, and then you were like, okay, whatever, you know, I'm going for it, or
Todd,
did that?
Do you remember your script? Do you remember the first page of your script?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The warning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right about when I read that is when I was like, oh shit, I have to do this, because I spend my life running toward fear. I chase it. It's just my thing.
What's that mean? What do you mean?
Something comes up for me that's like, I'm terrified of leaving LA. I'm terrified of trying to like not be an actor, just to be a father to my son. Like, I'm scared to have a new identity for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do it. So I did it. So we got on a plane with, you know, a baby right in the middle of COVID with 2 dogs and some bags, and yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, Stephanie, I hear you on that flight. The script was awesome. The script was so funny to me, and I was so bummed, but I totally understood when the dog Viagra scene didn't make it. And I think Jonah and you had said something about PETA getting involved. You were going to use a real animal, I believe, and just do cuts, but there was an issue with the dog, right? Like using that in a film.
The dog had a heart on or something?
The dog swallowed my Viagra because I was getting nervous. With Bo's character, with James' character, and the dog ended up like taking him down from the back.
Oh, right.
I forgot.
And then the dog, but the best part of my favorite line in the whole movie was the dog with a cigar saying, "You're next, bitch." And I thought that was like the greatest. And I'm like, that's like one of the main reasons why I did the movie. Okay. Also, Michael making love to a quiche I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever, because that was taking something and making it your own. And I thought that was really, really funny and so beautiful. Michael, everything that you did, even from keeping the quiche attached to you and leaving the scene.
Oh yeah.
That's the chemistry
That was my
of the
favorite.
movie. Michael on the
Yeah,
quiche.
I wasn't scared. And Mitch, if I can tell the story, you stop me if you feel like it's too much. We were in Orange County at the house on the hill, and it was freezing out. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay, because this is the thing. Like, so I'm feeling like warm right here, right now. I feel like a tight and you ever get that like anxiety and excitement happening at the same time for me right now as I tell it. So we've got our modesty pouch on, right? And I'm more modest than other people. I'm Jewish. I don't know if you know this. We're very modest people. And so it was freezing out. So Mitch is standing on books. I believe we put you on books because there wasn't like an app. He was just stamping on his books from his book bag.
This is actually during shooting the sex scene, right?
Shooting the sex scene. And I remember like that modesty pouch, that stayed on for like a split second. And I'm just like, all right, here I go, and like, didn't bother me, but I was just like, Mitch, are you okay? Like, that was a lot. And like, I'm freezing and like, that was a lot. And like, I remember checking in with you, like, are you okay? And like, you just, Michael's going to make an amazing joke. So I'll tell it before you do it. I had your back and you had my back, even though I had your back twice in that scene. So I felt very much scared to be that naked on camera. Yeah, I still feel that.
But as I said before, you were the absolute best scene partner a person could ever hope for in doing this. And combined with Todd just giving us everything that we needed. And I don't think this was a time when people really talked about feeling safe on a movie set. Mm-hmm. This is a discussion that happens, quite ubiquitously now, but I don't think that was happening in 2006. But Todd really established that from day one. None of us could have done any of this without feeling like Todd was there behind the camera, in front of the camera, sometimes with us, really making us feel safe doing it, and that it was okay to do it. And perhaps even at times that it was okay for us to draw certain lines. I don't think anybody drew very many lines here, but that we just felt comfortable knowing that we could, if we needed to, can be an important part of it as well.
Yeah, I echo that. In Todd, and somehow just based on like other work I've done too, like that the whole everyone in every job was part of that bubble.
Yes.
That made it safe. Like, you know, if we had just hired a grip who's like in the corner, like, what the fuck are they doing? You know, like it would have been weird. And like, but everybody was in on it. So it wasn't like you had to like step in and do this thing in front of strangers. It was all like, we're all like, we know what we're doing. We're all doing this together. Here we go.
I remember going back to Jonathan's story here. There was one of our costume designers, Chrissy Holly. I don't know if you remember Chrissy.
Yeah.
Wonderful Chrissy. Chrissy and I ended up being roommates from this movie. We ended up living together for years before I went to law school.
Really?
And, yes.
Oh,
And
awesome.
I just love her. But I remember when we were preparing for the sex scene out in Orange County, when I was in getting my modesty patch and all this, she was saying exactly what Michael was saying. She was there, saying, are you okay? Are you ready? You're going to be fine. I said, I'm a little nervous. This is weird. I've never done anything like this. I grew up in South Texas, from a very conservative family, not Jewish, but we were a conservative people as well. Right. And she looked at me and said, if it makes you feel any better, Jonathan's nervous too.
Aww.
And it was just, so everybody was really kind of working to help everyone through it.
I remember Todd, you didn't. Sorry.
What is it that?
What did Jonathan say?
Sorry. Go. What, Jonathan? What were you gonna say?
Well, just real quick. I remember you didn't say, all right, we're doing another one. You didn't say like, all right, we're doing another one. Let's go again. You actually checked in. Remember, you checked in with both of us, and you were real close to us. And there's only like one other director, and it was on an episode of TV, who sat in front of the camera with me one time, ever in my 200 plus episodes, like in movies, whatever. Like that was a very rare occurrence that you came in front and you were like, "How do you guys feel?" You checked in, and I remember being like, "I want to do another one." I remember like, Mitch, you ready? I remember we were like, let's do it. Like, we're here. I remember being amped. I'm like, I'm going to fuck you harder this time. Like, I hope all that anxiety.
That's the spirit, baby. That's the spirit.
And there was what you were like, smash his head more against the wall. Or there was something with that. I remember that. That was the only thing I was worried about was hurting your face if you had like on the wall.
I had to stand on books all the time because I'm so much shorter than Jonathan. Like none of the math, none of the architecture of any of it would have really added up. So yeah, I was always sliding off of books or some kind of Apple box or something. It was hilarious.
That was so cute though. You standing on your little, because you always had a book bag, so it's like he's.
Oh, are you standing on the books in the movie? Like you see the book? Oh
yeah.
All right, I'll watch it again tonight.
That's so cute.
There's tons of fan art of it if you haven't seen it, Michael. Like this story, I don't know, guys. Have you seen these things, Jonathan and Mitch? Like there's so much fan art.
Are you serious?
Out there, like illustrations and like of you two. It's really beautiful. Like go to Instagram and check hashtags. They're on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really
gotta know where to look, but it's there.
Ton of them.
I distanced myself from that, early on that because of my team at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember my manager who was supportive of me, my manager Stu, who I'm still with, we snuck into with some of my friends, we snuck into Sunset Langley.
Sunset 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist. It's a different theater now, but we were in the back. And from opening to end, ripped.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible. And then people were starting to like turn back and like look. And then like my manager gave me his hat. We dipped out at the end. People started coming over. We were like, "What is happening?" We snuck out because it seemed like we were going to get like a lot of attention. And I don't know how good I am in crowds, but I wish I had more of Michael's.
I fake it. I just fake it.
I mean, Jonathan, we were like in a way sad at the time, that like you weren't, because it was so fun, like all the screenings and all that stuff. But we totally understood. You know what I mean? Like we totally understood. And I think you and I even spoke or whatever. I got it. You know what I mean? Like but I always knew that you always made it clear to me that like you love the movie. You know what I mean? And the experience. So you know, it's just sad that, you know, but maybe we could do it this summer, have a party and show
Yeah,
it. Or
that'd be amazing. Yeah.
but
I knew that too, by the way. I don't know. Yeah, like I never got any kind of wind that like you didn't like it. I knew it was.
No, it was all like your team. We all knew that it was your people, and I think we were all sort of like a lot of us were experiencing similar things, and even beyond that, there was this thing that I remember at the time of like we'd be working together, and we were all so close, and we all got the joke, right? And so you're in like this moment where everyone gets the joke, and you're doing it, and you go really far in this story because it is a story of defiance. I remember, Todd, you were like, Gypsy, they felt like Gypsy 83 wasn't gay enough, so I'm gonna give them the fucking gayest movie of all time.
Right.
And we were like, that's the mandate. Here we go. So and we wanted to be just as gross as like all of the 80s straight movies were, you know? So gay kids didn't have to translate that stuff into like their lived experience. And so we were all, I think, I can't speak for you guys. I certainly was a lot ballsier on that film than I was in my life. And I think there was definitely a moment where we like left that and
Not
left.
you, Jonah.
Not Michael.
Not you, Jonah. Jonah wears the kimono was your own.
Except Jonah. You know what I mean? Like that's not polite.
No, you know what? This movie totally freaked me out. You know, initially I didn't want to be a part of it. It was way too crude. I'd never done a comedy. I was like, and I wanted to do Andy. I didn't want to do Nico. It was too feminine and it was too and it absolutely terrified me. But then, like you, Jonathan, if there's something that really scares me, that's what I know I want to move into and explore. And then I was like, oh, once Todd calibrated me into this, you know, vibration, then, you know, there was the freedom. And then I was like, let me help as much as I can and help even, you know, with producing the film. So
yeah,
but it scared the shite out of me too until we kind of got into it, and then it was like freedom.
But then I guess what I was going to say is that there was the moment after where we all stepped back and we're like in the production, like, you know, it's in post-production or whatever, and it's like we all got the joke. Are other people gonna get the joke? Is this gonna be like a safe thing to put out? Like, you know, even talking about the stuff like the sweet actors that played my girlfriends, you know, were like making comments on things that were kind of shitty in 80s and 90s movies, like the casual racism of Long Duk Dong and stuff like that. But you're like, how much, you know, I remember being scared of like, do they get that we're riffing on the shittiness of that instead of like cultivating our own shittiness, you know, like, and I think for the large part, I'm really pleased that people saw that and that has been an enduring aspect of the film, that it's a call out, you know, that like a lot of that characters get reduced to their simplest parts in those movies to support narratives.
Well, what will generations now? What will Gen Z? You know, how will they respond?
Great question.
It's like that's.
Oh, we're all canceled after this is released for sure.
No, it's not enough. It's not bold enough.
I never got any, you know, like I do. Yeah, my television show is like a family magic show, and there's never been yet. Who knows? The re-release will bring it. Like some kind of. There's never been anything. No one's ever been like, oh my god, I just found this thing and I am appalled. Like, never heard one thing.
But yeah, talking about the canceling and stuff like that is really interesting. And I definitely thought a lot about that, like looking at the movie again, you know, like how are people going to perceive this now? And, you know, the riffing on the shittiness stuff, like, yeah, that's totally what we were doing. But like, even I have to totally be honest, like when I watched it again, the tiki stuff, like, you know, kind of like, I was like, oh God, I don't know that I would have, you know, I don't know that I would go there, today, and also to be honest, Angela and I, the actress, attempted to revoice her that insane Asian accent, spoof thing, and we, as part of this director's cut, like we tried to. We got together on Zoom and like did ADR and tried to do it and it just like, so we totally re-recorded all her lines, and it just wouldn't the sound people just couldn't make it fit in her mouth. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't work. But the interesting thing about that to me was like right after the session, Angela said to me, she said, Todd, like I get why you're doing this, like, and I get it, but she's like, I like Tiki the way she was. I kind of like Tiki the way she was, she's like, it could work either way, but I was 100% got it then, and I still stand by it, so I thought that was really interesting, but it did make me cringe,
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That makes me cringe.
That was the one.
I thought that was the idea. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It was, but where's
like,
the line? You know what I mean? Like, where's the line between riffing on the shittiness and like actually still going into a stereotype and
propagating shittiness? Yeah. Right.
So that's that's an interesting conversation there.
Well, I had for Ashlie, I don't put you on the spot too, but I remember having like a lesbian friend who was upset with your character.
Sure.
I don't know if that, but I watched, and I watched it last night with that sensitivity, and I was like, well, I don't know what she was fucking talking about.
Why? Do you remember?
Well, I guess maybe it just touched a place in her where she thought because it was the mannish version of the bull dyke, and then it was just, it made her feel like we're not like that, we're not all like that. It just touched a spot, Well, but yet there's plenty of people around in the movie that are cheerleaders that are lesbian too. So like, that's why I was like, but it was a spot that touched.
Right. I mean, I think the Stifler mandate was very strong in me for that. The idea that I was occupying a really obnoxious space with her that I leaned really hard into. Yeah, people were super mad at me for years about it. People that are, After Ellen hated me so much. I don't know if you guys know that blog, After Ellen. They were really unhappy with me with that film and had a lot of negative things to say. But like,
because it's propagating like a bull dyke stereotype. That's why?
I guess. I don't know. I have a lot of questions about that. Yes. Okay. It was not the most nuanced portrayal. I think we can all be.
Give me a fucking break. What kind of, you know what I mean? It's like,
but like
drama.
Also, I also then have questions about like, if I, and who knows, but like if I were fitter and more like looked more like someone on the L Word, would that have been a different conversation? Would that have been something that like hit differently?
Right.
So it's really, it's a really interesting sort of, I would love to be able to, I've never had conversations with someone face to face about that. And I'd love to, like, if I could like watch the movie with somebody that had like real concerns about my portrayal being damaging, I would love to do that and like learn,
Cameron, can you set that up?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me find that After Ellen right here.
We have a special guest. We have a special
Right.
guest.
They're actually.
Yeah. We have another special guest for you. I want to acknowledge that like, it doesn't matter what our intent was. It matters what the impact was. And so I think that we all are, or at least Todd and I have had this conversation before. Michael and I have had this conversation before. I think that it's important to acknowledge the impact of portrayals like that, regardless of what was intended at the time. And we can say what was in our hearts, but like, we need to be in a receptive, I need to be in a receptive place for that and to be able to acknowledge the oops and the ouch of that experience for other people, and that, you know, it's going to exist for the next 100 years or whatever, and people will be encountering that wherever they're at, you know, and I just want to be cognizant of it.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, and you know, and yeah, I wouldn't do that again. I feel badly about it. You know what I mean? Like,
I know you do.
Yeah. So it's almost like making fun of like Asians is like the last acceptable, you know, group of people to like make fun of in films or something, you know, like, which is disgusting to me, you know? So, and I feel like I'm guilty of that, you know, but you know, it's like life's a process. We all are evolving and learning and, you know, trying to understand. And, so, yeah, I mean, I considered like cutting it out of the, like completely removing the character, you know what I mean? From the director's cut, but the new cut. But I almost feel like, well, you know, let's have this the conversation that you're having, you know. I think it's like valid to have that conversation and to see how far, you know, we've evolved. And
I do too. I think it's an aspect of living in draft while you're trying to like make art along the way, right? So like, I am appreciative that you didn't cut it, because I think it's important to sit in the discomfort of that and be like, we were all pushing ourselves into like these really vulnerable spots, you know, and to then sort of acknowledge who, you know, to whose benefit, who's getting the story out of it, you know? Anyway, I love you guys so much. And I did not mean to hijack this for a moment. Like, I just walked away and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, that's good.
Such a great experience.
A beautiful share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
all right, go do your shit.
Okay, we actually do have another visitor right now that I'm gonna bring
Oh,
in.
who's that?
Surprise, surprise.
Oh, who would that be? Oh,
It's not the dog.
oh my God.
Producer.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my God, producer.
Looks great.
She has slow
Thanks
internet.
for joining.
That's oh wow, you know what? I need to put on my glasses so I can see you guys.
Wow.
It's you guys.
Were your ears ringing?
Oh, really? Yes. What was being said?
Ashlie
What do you
just
think?
gave us a interesting perspective on Tiki. But anyway, that's
You just missed
I
it.
missed that.
you just missed it. Yeah, you missed Ashlie. So, but everything else.
Well, I've actually seen Ashlie a couple times since the movie. I went and saw her off Broadway, and so I've caught up with her. But several of you guys I've not seen since the movie at all.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
And we haven't met yet, but you know, I'm.
Oh, hello, Cameron.
Hi, and thanks for being here. I'm so excited to
Well,
meet you.
I have about 10 minutes.
That's fantastic.
Give them the hard questions. Get the hard questions down.
Right now.
Well, I did want to say.
I have to say. So Jesse is a producer of the film, and it's in large part. I mean, I don't think the film would have happened without Jesse. It's interesting. I wrote the script and had it. Another producer optioned it, and supposedly had the money. And I was literally about to get on a plane to fly to LA to start pre-production when it was back in the day of like fax machines. I had a fax machine in my office, and like right before, like the day before I was supposed to go, this fax starts coming through, you know? And it's like 1 page, 2 pages, 15 pages of fucking notes on toning the script down. Cut this out, you know, whatever. And so I was like, hell no. You know what I mean? Like I called the producer up and
he was cutting all the jokes. I mean,
Right.
I think it was crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, that is the point of the movie.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I called him up and I said, I think we're trying to make totally different movies, and I don't think this makes any sense. So luckily I got out of it, but that's when Jesse and I started working together on it. And Jesse, like Jesse, you're talking about, you know, the kind of fearlessness of the film and, you know, how crazy and sort of rebellious and defiant it was. And Jesse, you know, completely understood that and supported that 100%. And really helped find a huge chunk of the money to make the movie happen. So we wouldn't be here without Jesse, basically.
Yeah, my memories of the movie are all laced with you, Jess. Like, just I'm serious. Like, starting from the readings all the way through, you were so supportive and so in on it, and like a cheerleader for what we were all doing, and you're a voice in the movie too. I just heard it because I watched it last night. I hadn't seen it in so long. Wait, you're the voice of the what are you the voice of?
Oh, I think it's on IMDb. Let me check this for us. Unless you remember, Jess.
I was the doorman in that movie.
In another gay movie.
No, in another game. We're here for a reunion of another gay movie.
Another gay movie, Jess.
No.
I just see additional voice on IMDb, so that's all I got.
You were a voice.
Additional
Oh, and I just went. That's Jess's voice. I told Peter. Oh man, no, I forget what it was.
Anyway, I did. Yeah, I was doing all that stuff though. But yeah, I just remember reading the script the first time and thinking, this is a movie I would love to see. And I just, when that producer, when you dropped it out and I remember, Todd, I remember you saying, you know, if I can't get this together, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life trying to get this made. And I was like, this movie has to get made. And I thought, you know, I know a lot of rich homos. Let me see what I can do. And that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Guys, I have to go.
Thank you, Stephanie. It was so good to see you.
I love you.
Oh my God, it's so good to
honey.
see you all. I love you all.
Love you too, Diana.
Love you.
Bye.
I was going to say, I think one of my big takeaways from all these talks with everyone, and I of course mean this in the best way, but like this happened at a very specific time, and it could only have happened at that time. It just like all these factors kind of came together. I mean, as we've talked about, this kind of felt like a product of the Bush era, a response to that in a lot of ways. So that's one facet of it. But just getting this group of people who had such fantastic chemistry together is huge. And again, just we haven't talked yet, but like everyone has cited you and brought up what great work you did in helping bring everyone together and make everyone feel comfortable. So yeah, a lot of credit is due for sure.
Well, it was an amazing experience. I mean, it was, I didn't know what I was doing at all. I mean, I just kind of jumped in there and just ran myself ragged, but I was so, in the end, I just remember who all was in New York that first weekend it opened. Were any?
Yeah, I was there. Wait, we opened or the festival? The Tribeca?
At the Quad.
At the Quad.
I mean, I remember seeing that movie at the Quad, and I mean, I'm not just saying this because, you know, it's our movie, but I have never heard laughter that loud and raucous and just unending ever. And it was, you know, it was sold out. And it was just kind of amazing that this really connected. And the fact that, I mean, this was in the period when people were starting to not go to movies as much. You know, it was more, you know, with the videos and stuff like that. And that we were the '1 movie at the Quad for 8 weeks and sold out for weeks and weeks and weeks was just, I should say gay movies. Gay movies were not playing like that.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah.
Now the Quad Theater only had 4 seats. Let's.
And we were
more than that.
Yeah, you guys. But Jonathan with the hat on in the back seat.
That's why it's called the Quad. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, part of what amazes me about it, and I just even feel it just seeing you guys like and having us be in here together, is just like, and Jesse, I mean, we worked hard to make this happen and spent a lot of time. We spent a long time casting this movie, you know?
Oh, that was.
And but it's just like, it's that weird thing. It's like, you guys all know what I'm talking about, but it's like sometimes like on a project, it just happens. Like it just like it's like the chemistry aligns, the pheromones, the stars align, like, you know, and sometimes they don't, you know, on things. And this is one of the times that for me that it aligned the most, and that these especially these 4 guys and Ashlie, but everybody else, like there's just such a magic connection between them. And it's like, how does that happen? Like why does that happen? You know, like I'm fascinated by that.
You know, me too. I shared with Cameron a little bit too, that like when it's still, I've done some stuff after, but like that, it still is the like #1 magical Hollywood experience I've ever had. And I could sense it at the time, so much so that like I called my boyfriend back in Long Island during our shooting when everything was just awesome, and I'm crying on the phone. He's like, "What are you crying about?" And I was like, "I don't know if I'll ever get to do anything like this again."
Mm.
And I haven't ever had that. It was really a magical crew. Everyone was in on it at that right time, and then to see the audience strike on it, yeah, it was nothing short of magical.
Did Ashlie say? So I saw her a few years ago. I was saying it off Broadway, and I remember talking to her after, and she said, you know, of all the stuff that she has gone on to do, you know, she's been on major shows, major movies. She said to this day, when people see her, the role that people say, "Oh, she's like, it's Muffler." It's like she gets called out on the street still in Brooklyn, "You're Muffler," more than any other role, which I find amazing this long after the movies come out.
You know, I definitely want to credit, and you know, Todd, I think really what raises this up is that we were on the edge of the edge. You know, we were all taking risks to step into a project, and when you have a group that everyone's having to do that, then that becomes such a clear bond, and then hopefully, you know, all the other elements are in alignment. But the script was just so powerful, and be able to be such a voice, such a protest, if you will, you know, that I think that we just all really stepped into that, and that makes things, you know, historic when you're doing something for the first time and you're saying things in a new way, and have everyone on board to have that moment. That's when you are making a difference.
Yeah, and it was interesting. That's why, Jonathan, I was like curious about like fear, and of course, I totally understand. Like, if I was an actor going into the situation, I would be like petrified, you know, but it's like we all like either were holding hands or had our arms wrapped around each other, and like all just like we're like, okay, we're gonna do it. Okay.
Cliff diving, just like cliff diving, holding hands.
Like we're all connected and like, okay, let's go, let's fucking do it. And we all just like jump off the cliff, and just like and then just let the fear go. You know what I mean? Because I don't see any fear in your eyes, like any of you in the film. You know what I mean? It's like it was just like, forget it. You know, so that to get to that place is hard. You know what I mean? To get to that place, to just jump like that and forget, you know, get the voices out of your head and get out of your head is really hard. And that we collectively, like, I'm making it sound like this fucking Citizen Kane, and it's not, but that we like collectively did that, you know what I mean? Is like that. I think that's part of why this magic happened between us all, you know? Yeah.
I'm not sure what Jonah was doing was working. I don't know if
Todd, there's two types of energy I feel that are out there, and there's push energy and there's pull energy. And push is, for me, I feel like push is when I'm trying to fit something that doesn't, you know, I really want this thing. I'm like, I force it to occur. And then there's the thing that draws me, and I just gradually get drawn into it, and that pulls me. And I feel like you created pull energy. And so there wasn't as much doing I didn't feel like there was a lot of doing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to shove. Does that make Mitch? I feel you. I see you can lighten up there.
It does, yeah. I wanted to say earlier when Todd was sort of asking the question about fear, what kind of fear were you experiencing and coming to the project? One of the fears that I had was that I wasn't a comedic actor. I, for the most part, did dramatic, TV series and plays and whatnot. So I was very comfortable crying and screaming and being angry, but I had no basic comedic sensibility. And on set, working with, even rehearsals on day one between Michael and Jonah and Jonathan, I thought, oh man, I am totally fish out of water. And I think that's part of what I was probably communicating to Todd early on, is that I don't know how, I feel like I'm getting lost, right? But what Jonathan is describing is that pull energy. Once we were on set, all that kind of went away. And it was just, you stay in the moment and you work with everybody else, and it all kind of worked out in the end. And I had a lot more, the fear went away as well. I just had a lot more confidence and just being able to, all right, go with it and it'll be okay. And it ended up being really fun. But we lived in that little bubble for about 3 weeks, as I recall. And
18 days.
18 days, yeah.
Remarkable.
I remember. That's all we had.
And the funny thing about that, Mitch, is that you're so funny in the movie, like the little guy's got his glasses all fogged up, and there's like all these little cute moments that you're so funny, So,
and the twerk.
His glasses.
Who knew you could twerk?
The dancing, absolutely.
Right. So that's the other thing. I told this to Cameron, which is I had no skills for this movie whatsoever. I can't dance, I can't play baseball, and I wasn't a comedic actor. So the fact that I was casted was like, what am I doing here? Jonathan had to teach me how to hit a baseball at the park. I'd never done it before in my life.
Really? That was the first time?
Yeah. Daryl had to, choreograph my little scene, and he kept looking at me like, oh, you're so sad, But we made it work.
God! It's not what it looks like. Andy? It's not working. Do something. What are you doing? Give me some of that. Let me try.